Today is Thursday, April 24th. We have details of the American peace plan for Ukraine, why the Ukrainian president will not accept it, and what could happen next. Also, President Trump's latest orders for remaking the American education system, and a surprising moment as a grieving woman confronted the shooter who killed her brother. Plus, which American cities rank lowest for air quality, how sleep is being prioritized in U.S. high schools, and what to know about tonight's NFL draft. Those stories and even more news to know next. Welcome to The Newsworthy. All the day's news in around 10 minutes. Fast, fair, fun, and on the go. I'm Erica Mandy. Thanks so much for being here. You ready? Let's do this. The U.S. government is now threatening to walk away from talks to end the war in Ukraine. And President Trump is blaming Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. Trump and his aides are demanding Zelensky agree to an American-designed peace plan that would essentially grant Russia all the territory it's gained in the war, plus Crimea, which it took over in 2014. The plan would also block Ukraine from ever joining NATO. Well, Zelensky rejected it and said he would do the same with any other deal that would cede territory to Russia. Trump then accused Zelensky of choosing to, quote, prolong the killing field, and said a man with no cards to play should accept the deal he's being offered before he loses the whole country. Some European allies agree with Zelensky, though, saying Trump is essentially switching sides in the war, pushing for a deal that favors the aggressor. Meanwhile, Russia is still trying to capture more Ukrainian land, and both sides have continued to attack each other on the front line and have launched long-range strikes. The U.S. has limited weapons shipments to Ukraine, though some are still going through. Trump's lead negotiator is set to travel to Russia later this week. To be continued. President Trump signed an executive order to shake up college accreditation. That's the process colleges have to go through to get federal financial aid. And President Trump has called it his secret weapon in his quest to remake higher education, since he says American colleges have been corrupted by left-wing ideology. The order makes it easier for universities to choose their accreditors and for new institutions to become accredited. It also lets the government take action if discrimination is found in the accreditation process. That was just one of 7 orders President Trump signed yesterday, all focused on education. Another tells schools to disclose all foreign funding, not just if it hits a certain dollar amount. There's also one that promises new discipline guidance for K-12 schools, one that calls for more AI courses and certifications for high schoolers, one that creates a presidential advisory board on historically Black colleges and universities, and more. President Trump is now being sued over his new tariffs on foreign imports, with the latest lawsuit coming from a dozen states here in the U.S. The lawsuit argues only Congress has the power to impose tariffs, and that Trump's policy has brought chaos to the American economy. With that, the states want the court to keep the government from enforcing it. But the Trump administration disagrees, saying his authority comes from a law that gives him power under economic emergencies. And the president believes trade imbalances do amount to an emergency since they've hurt American industries and workers. In fact, he's still planning more tariffs against specific industries and countries if they don't make deals soon. California and small businesses have also filed similar lawsuits against Trump, challenging the legality of his tariffs. So expect the issue to come up quite a bit in courtrooms around the country. Families who lost loved ones in one of the deadliest American school shootings have now reached a settlement. The Uvalde, Texas City Council unanimously approved the deal. Remember, back in 2022, a teenage gunman killed 19 children and 2 teachers at an elementary school, while law enforcement resources waited outside. Uvalde will pay the families a total of $2 million from its insurance coverage as part of the settlement. As part of the settlement, the city will also make changes at the local police department, including a fitness for duty standard for officers and better emergency training. A permanent memorial will be set up, and the city will support mental health services for families and survivors. Many of them are also seeking damages from the Texas State Police, the school district, and more. This week, families of people killed in another mass shooting confronted the self-proclaimed white supremacist who pulled the trigger. And in one surprising moment, one woman whose brother was killed decided to hug the gunman. She said she wanted to do so he could feel her pain and her forgiveness. It's a moment that brought the courtroom to tears, even the law enforcement officers standing guard. The woman's brother was one of the 23 people killed at an El Paso Walmart in 2019, making it the worst domestic terror attack on Hispanic people in U.S. history. The shooter pleaded guilty and will spend life in prison without parole. Whooping cough is now on track for its worst American outbreak in 70 years. The latest CDC data shows the infection, also known as pertussis, has sickened more than 8,000 people in the U.S. so far this year. And that is more than double the number of cases recorded by this time last year. Sadly, at least 4 people have died from it, including babies. Whooping cough often starts with mild symptoms that get worse gradually, and the cough can linger for weeks or months. It's especially dangerous for infants less than a year old. Of course, this also comes as the U.S. is battling a growing measles outbreak that's also impacting children the most. And health experts are pointing to a drop in vaccination rates for the pickup in both infections. For whooping cough, pregnant women are encouraged to get a shot to protect their babies, and then babies are first eligible for a shot at 2 months old. They get multiple doses throughout childhood. For measles, the CDC recommends children getting 2 doses starting at 12 months old. More news still coming up, but first, a quick break to thank our sponsor. Hules Black Edition Ready to Drink is a meal in a bottle, and it's such a convenient way to stay energized on really busy days. It's grab and go and has 35 grams of protein, 27 vitamins and minerals, and is low in sugar. Perfect for times when you feel like you're just a nonstop, but don't want to neglect your needs or your health. You already know skipping a meal is not great. It'll probably leave you drained and cranky. At least that's my experience. And grabbing fast food or another unhealthy snack is not likely to help you feel your best either. But Huel is such a quick, easy, and convenient way to keep yourself nourished. I've had the vanilla flavor so far, but they also have strawberry, chocolate, and even iced coffee, which I definitely want to try next. I love having a bottle in the fridge to grab and go on those especially busy days when I'm juggling getting my kiddo off to school, then rushing myself off to an appointment or a meeting. You'll want to have this on hand, and right now, new customers can visit Huel.com/newsworthy. That's Huel, HUEL.com/newsworthy, and use my code newsworthy to get 15% off your first order, plus a free gift. Now back to the news. Air in the U.S. has gotten cleaner over the last few decades, but the American Lung Association's latest State of the Air report shows there's still a long way to go. It says nearly half of Americans still live with unhealthy air pollution. Specifically, it says 156 million people live in places heavy in smog or soot pollution that harms their lungs, hearts, and brains. But pollution levels vary widely across the country. The report found soot pollution is worst in California cities like Fresno and Bakersfield. Ozone pollution is highest in the Los Angeles region. And when it comes to smog, a couple of the worst areas are Phoenix, Arizona, and Dallas, Texas. Only one continental U.S. metro showed up on all 3 lists of cleanest cities, and that's Bangor, Maine. Americans have increasingly been getting notices in their inboxes from the Homeland Security Department. They tell them to leave the country immediately or face deportation. But again, these are American citizens, so it sparked a lot of concerns. Customs and Border Protection says some of the notices may have gone out to the wrong people, like immigration lawyers instead of migrants, and it's addressing the issues on a case-by-case basis. That said, some immigration attorneys say if you're a U.S. citizen and get one of these notices, you should immediately seek counsel and get together all documentation like birth certificates and passports. Others say just ignore it. Apple and Meta are now the first companies to be punished under a landmark big tech law in Europe. We're talking about the Digital Markets Act, or DMA, that's all about preventing monopolies. The European Union says both Apple and Meta broke the law. Apple because of how app developers are restricted from communicating with customers, and Meta because of a system that forces users to either pay for an ad-free service or allow their personal data to be used for ad targeting. With that, Apple was fined about $570 million. Meta was fined $230 million. The tech giants are promising to appeal, saying the EU is forcing them to change their business models, make less money, and offer inferior products. Apple and Meta both face antitrust lawsuits here in the U.S., too. But the Trump administration still criticized the EU's ruling yesterday, calling it economic extortion against American companies. It's apparently considering retaliation. Lyft is going to start sending standard taxis to pick up some riders. It's the app's latest new feature rolling out as it works to compete with rival Uber. Lyft's taxi integration will start in St. Louis and expand to other cities in the future. And when it does, users will have to opt in. Then they'll be matched with a licensed taxi when that option would make the pickup faster. Like with any rideshare trip, you'll be able to pay, tip, and submit a rating all within the app. This is just the latest Lyft update. For example, last week, it announced it was acquiring European app FreeNow, marking its first global expansion outside the U.S. and Canada. And Bloomberg says Lyft is working to launch a simpler version of its app, specifically for elderly riders, later this year. The NFL Draft kicks off tonight in Green Bay, Wisconsin. This is when teams get a chance to add new up-and-coming talent to their rosters. And the draft order is mostly based on each team's record the previous year. So the team with the worst record gets to choose from the talent pool first, unless there's a trade. This year, the Tennessee Titans hold the number 1 spot, so they'll get to make the first of 257 total picks. And there's not a lot of mystery behind who will go first. Almost all mock drafts show the Titans choosing Miami Hurricanes quarterback Cam Ward. We'll find out exactly who is chosen tonight when the draft starts at 8 p.m. Eastern on ABC, ESPN, and NFL Network. That's it for the main news today, so now it's time for Thing to Know Thursday. But first, I want to tell you about our sponsor, OneSkin. Think you only need sunscreen in the summer? Well, UV rays are kind of sneaky, not to mention things like pollution and blue light exposure that can quietly wreak havoc on your skin and speed up cellular aging. That's why you will want to get a broad-spectrum sunscreen and use it every day. My favorites? OneSkin's SPFs for the face and body. Their SPFs block UV rays with non-nano zinc oxide and neutralize the free radicals that come from things like UV, pollution, and blue light with a potent blend of antioxidants. And the mastermind ingredient behind it all is OneSkin's OS1 peptide. It works at the cellular level and reduces the visible signs of aging, like lines, wrinkles, and sagging skin. I love my OneSkin products as part of my daily routine. They're simple and effective, and I think you'll love them too. Founded and led by an all-woman team of skin longevity scientists, OneSkin is redefining the aging process with their proprietary OS1 peptide, the first ingredient proven to help skin look, feel, and behave like its younger self. So get 15% off with my code NEWSWORTHY at oneskin.co. That's 15% off oneskin.co with the code NEWSWORTHY. After your purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about them, so please support our show and tell them we sent you. Invest in the health and longevity of your skin with OneSkin. Your future self will thank you. Now back to Thing to Know Thursday. When people hear sleep training, they usually think about babies. But these days, many high schools are extending the concept to teenagers. In fact, some have entire courses dedicated to getting a good night's sleep. Research shows it could be necessary since teenagers are now more sleep-deprived than ever. The American Academy of Sleep Medicine says adolescents need between 8 and 10 hours of sleep each night for their developing brains and bodies. But the CDC says nearly 80% of American teens are getting less than that. Now, many experts think that lack of sleep could be playing a role in a mental health crisis, as well as issues with behavior and attendance at school. Plus, studies show links between insufficient sleep and sports injuries, driving accidents, and more. And a lot of research has shown good sleep leading to more academic success. So the new courses are seen as important, but how do they work? Well, in one Ohio high school, the AP says students are asked to keep daily sleep logs. They also rate their mood and energy levels, and they learn about better habits, like how to establish a routine, stick to a bedtime, and put away their phones for the night. But researchers say it doesn't have to be that complicated, that even small changes can make some big differences. Thank you so much for listening today and making us part of your daily routine. We'll catch you up on even more news to know tomorrow. Until then, have a great day.